Welcome to Everyday Entrepreneurs Everywhere with your host, Chris Parker.
And welcome back to Everyday Entrepreneurs Everywhere. This is Chris Parker, and I'm having a conversation with Martin de Roode, who is the IT supply manager for Van Oord. And Van Oord is a quite a old and famous company for doing a lot of things around the world that maybe a lot of people outside the Netherlands maybe haven't heard of, but it's a fascinating story. And Martin has a personal passion and interest in sustainability. And we were able to use the simplicity framework, however, really focused on sustainability with Martin and his broad team of managers from all sorts of different areas of the company, and had a 5-day sustainability sprint. Now, you might be asking, well, wait, why is an IT supply manager on the entrepreneurial show? And I will absolutely attest, and you will learn soon, that Martin is an incredible entrepreneurial spirit, and he is making things happen inside an organization and an industry. And I'm delighted to have that conversation here. So, Martin, can you maybe help us with what is it that you do, Martin, and why are you doing what you do?
Hi, Chris. Yeah, sure. I'm working with Van Oord for 15 years now. My current function is titled IT supply manager. That means that I'm responsible also to get all the IT equipment that is needed by the whole Van Oord organization from where it's available to the place where it's needed at the right time. So my colleagues worldwide, globally, can do what they need to do, and that means supplying ships with the right equipment, our offices worldwide, but also our colleagues locally. So it ranges from the humble memory stick to complete storage solutions to vessel setups where we also have clients on board. So that's more or less a procurement or purchasing role I fulfill there. But during the years in the IT department, I also got more or less partly responsible for the whole IT budget setup and yearly use of that budget. Simply because I'm in the position to directly see what's spent. And just out of hobby, out of passion, I also work a lot in all kind of new developments. That's from the selection of new stuff that is needed within the company, thinking about Microsoft HoloLenses or the whole drones environment and usage within the company. And also ran into the whole sustainability part. So that's how I got in contact with you.
And what's the why behind the why there? Meaning you are so enthusiastic and animated and communicative. There's something driving you. I'm curious, what is it that is that nuclear engine inside you that keeps you going, keeps you glowing?
The nuclear engine inside me is first and foremost, I really like to enable people to do stuff. That gives me a lot of energy. But also and that's just within me. I can't help that. I can get very passionate about things I'm passionate about, and that gives a lot of drive. But seeing people adopt new ideas, adopt new techniques, and having fun in their work doing so, that's what drives me. Yeah, I think so.
Has it? I'm still on that. Go one level deeper. Has that always been the case? Meaning, is this something that's been a theme throughout your career, or is this? I'm just generally curious. Has this evolved over time? Maybe as you've gotten more senior, or?
Yeah, well, I started out a long time ago. Well, then we're going way back. So I'm giving away my age at WordPerfect at the support department. That's more or less where I started my IT career, to say so. Helping people using technology they maybe not really completely understood, and trying to be the bridge between the technique and maybe the lingo that was used there to translate it to something they could understand and relate to and work with. And well, that's more or less a basic given in my whole existence up till now. Where of course when you get a bit more senior, you well use your abilities, the toolkit you got from inside to more effectively.
Yeah.
So in that sense, and then you said I'm an entrepreneur. Yes, no, maybe, but I think the whole company, when you look at Van Oord, is made up of people that are well. No is not an answer, and failure is not an option. That's more or less a given here. So make it happen, and whatever is needed to do so. That's more well, some of the things we get from within our company, and that helps, and that attracts a certain kind of people.
You said word perfect dates you. At least you didn't say word star or something.
I know what it is, so that's if that's good enough.
So word perfect was good stuff. I think it was bought by Novell or something, but it was. I think I still have the
that's
discs
correct. Well,
here.
Corel and then Novell. That's correct. Yeah, they got taken over a while, and then Microsoft came up with a brilliant marketing machine, and they took over that world, and that's fine too.
So maybe for everyone, if you can explain a little bit what Van Oord is, and if you can connect this to, and the word that I want to bring up is capsulon, because during our sessions, this Rotterdam roll up your sleeves, get it done ethic really came through, and we spoke about capsulon. Can you share just a little bit? What is Van Oord, and how is that part of Rotterdam culture, and how does that all come together?
It's always, well, it was a bit a Rotterdam Amsterdam thing, as you know, but we in Rotterdam always tell, when you buy a shirt over here, the sleeves are already rolled up, so you can go to work and do your thing. Van Oord is a company, and I told you I'm here for 15 years now, which is only a small part of the whole history of that company, but that has always been finding ingenious, and that's the word of the last years, but solutions, smart, ingenious solutions for problems that are there, and that started out with the whole protection against water in any sense of the word, building of dikes and other stuff, but also harbors, or for the people who don't know Van Oord, maybe in Dubai we created those beautiful palm islands. Google it, you'll find beautiful pictures of those. So we are a company that makes things happen in the world, and makes very visible and tangible things happen in the world. And that it needs that asks for people, as I told earlier, that have that special mindset to just go and do the job. And when you see our guys on the projects and on the ships, when you sail out to sea, you can't come back, and you have to make it happen over there, and going back and retry is a very costly thing. So you have to be prepared, but also be ingenious, or smart enough to find solutions for the problems that will arise, and solve them to your best ability. And we get a room in this company because that's what we are. We need to work that way to deliver the products that we do to our customers, the wind farms, the harbors, the oil and gas infrastructure, everything we do.
I really felt that ethic, that energy of get it done when we started the sprint. And I'm about to ask you to explain what the sprint was and what you experienced there. But in the episode that will be released just before this one with Jessica, Simon, and Vim and myself, sort of sharing the coach's perspective, and I'm loving to get and compare and contrast that with, I guess, the client perspective over the participant perspective. So when we as the coaches, of course, we had a lot of interaction up front, preparing and getting things scheduled, and arranging the speakers and whatnot. But just to walk in, that I really felt everyone was looking at us like, all right, let's do this, let's get going, even though no one really knew what we were going to do, so it was like, but there was still just a willingness to go and start. So Martin, can you explain, what you experienced with the sustainability sprint? If you think back, a couple of weeks ago, what are the highlights, and how would you describe that to a friend?
Well, I already spoke to a couple of friends, colleagues, whatever people about the whole experience. All in all, it was a very positive one. We didn't know what to expect going into it. So you see that first session, I purposely selected a group that wasn't really per se aligned on the whole sustainability idea, or maybe never even thought about it at this level. So we went in with more or less a blank mind. Let's see what happens, and let's do this. And what I found most appealing in the whole sessions was the getting together of the group on the ideas and to align to get to a common purpose. And I really found that really great, because still I speak to all those guys, girls amongst them, more or less daily, and they still all have that same feeling and that same energy, and also still shifting their agendas to have those follow-up sessions we are doing right now, really pulling at me on make it happen, have our quarterly meetings, let's start to do some things. So it went from, well, we're not sure what we're going to do, why we're going to do this, and how we're going to do it, to well, the Rotterdam mentality. Let's do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that very much. And a few of the highlights of the whole sustainability sessions. Well, I really liked the inspirational speeches. More or less surprising, mostly the one from the customer within we had, from within the company we had, just to give his opinion and his vision on how IT performed and what IT could mean for the company in the whole sustainability goals and vision that's there.
Why was that?
So
Why was that confronting to you? Meaning, what did you expect, and then what shifted within you when he told his story?
Well, what shifted within me was, there were a lot of initiatives within Van Noord, and we already found out during those other sessions also, because we went looking on the intranet and whatever within our company. There are a lot of initiatives already ongoing on this topic that are not really well known, at least not for me or for the IT department. My colleagues over there were just as surprised as I was. But also the perception of the IT department, that was somewhat of an eye opener, something to for us to conclude, well, to reach our goals, we need to work on that. And that was really an important one for me as a takeaway from that inspirational session. But also the other talks we had over there with the bees, with the guy from Bayer with his chemical trains running around. Our sustainability professor that came over there. But I think it was a really nice start of all those sessions, to just have a talk like that and just get in the right mindset, in the right mood to do the rest of the session. I think that was really a good start, and really gave us some good takeaway points, good starting points for those sessions.
And the sustainability sprint is really a spark, as I think you called it, a spark before we pressed record, or maybe after, but
yeah.
And that sparked passion, action, and also the communication, because afterwards you shared that you have created a bit of a storytelling strategy slide deck that's maybe porting some of the points into the Van Noord culture and language, and then you re-looked at the risk registers and the project registers, and probably reprioritized, as you should do that constantly. So can you share a little bit about what thinking you had in your mind, and what did you share with the executive, and how did the sprint set that up for you, I guess, is the question. So on
that last day we had, ordered us, no, you asked us to have a presentation to, in our case, our CIO, just to tell him what we did in those 5 days, what the plans were, what the actions we envisioned, and maybe also what we expected from him. Well, that last part we never got to. We had the sprint outcome, the one slide. We talked through all those simplified things, mostly built up out of huge pages full of text that were well simplified to a couple of words over there. But of course, there's a big story between each and every line that was on there. So after we had said that 5th day and went home, we reset up a new meeting with the team that was present in the whole sustainability sprints and a CIO, and redid it. But we created a few more slides to dig a bit deeper on a couple of those things. So we more or less consolidated the risks to somewhat of a top 5. And also the action plans we had. We created a slide, but we never even got to that. We have a follow-up meeting coming over that about what we expected from him, because we do need some actions from him, and that's not only money and not only resources, but also his buy-in and him doing some storytelling on his level to enable us to get to our goals. So what we actually try to do is from that whole sustainability scan, that one slide that we had, to create a couple of slides that would support the story we wanted to tell to him and to everybody else that we want to do afterwards, after we got his buy-in and he felt comfortable with it. And also, I told you before we hit record, the whole sprint goal we had and we set up. For us, that was make IT carbon neutral and circular on January 1st, 2025. During those sessions, we also added a couple of words there and support Van Oord in its sustainable strategy, something in those kind of wordings. And during this session with our CIO, we already turned that around. We were putting the support our company reaching their goals first. And yes, as a part of that, we will make IT also neutral and circular. So that was, but we had a really great session, and you also see that with all that enthusiasm and drive we had during those sessions, and we had during that conversation, it really made for a very good and in-depth conversation with Ronald, our CIO, and even to a point that he was that much interested that he really demanded a follow-up session. He wanted more, and that's really good. So it was really nice to see that happening.
Yeah, you mentioned the sprint goal, and it's something that I don't think we mentioned in the previous podcast episode with the coaches. But for me, that's super important to know what is the opportunity you're solving for, or else you can go in and talk about everything. So already even we start and we got that from you, because this was your interpretation of what the company needed, and it was with that goal in mind that we really set up the rest of the program, and it should adapt. In fact, every day we asked, should this adapt? And consistently through it, no, because it's really resonated. But what I did see as a shift was this internal IT as a supplier sort of focus to even what you just experienced with your CIO. Is like, why don't you switch that around and say, well, let's collaborate, let's participate in the greater organization while being IT. And I slowly, it wasn't even really part of sustainability, but I slowly saw that shifting throughout the conversations. And for me, the fact that conversations and dialogue and alignment continue afterwards, and it's sort of a magnetic sort of topic that executives can check into and other people can check into, that for me just really resonates. That we only did it in 5 half days, so it was only like basically 2.5 days to come up with, I'm not sure the numbers anymore, but probably over 100 risks, over 100 project ideas.
Very a big lot. I went through those and tried to consolidate them to to the top 5. But there were lots, and some more relevant than others. But that was all okay. That was a brainstorm session, a brain dump of a lot of people. and really gave very useful results. Maybe some grumpiness from me also at times, because I can remember that afternoon that we had those 100 results or risks or whatever, and we had to score those in 2 minutes. Oh, please. That was really not my thing.
There was some stress there, and
Yeah.
and we promised when we started that there would be some discomfort.
Yeah, you did.
And there's never a right amount of time, whether it's 2, 5, 10, 20 minutes. But what we do find is, call it the wisdom of the crowds, that if you have people just put their instinctual feeling of impact and cost or benefit or likelihood for projects or risks, and if you have a few people, 5 or more, I'm sure there's a number somewhere, then you get a good enough sorting, and then the top ones that are the most relevant, maybe as if it's a project, it can be sliced to be more lean or more efficient, MVP'd or whatever. And then for risks, maybe you can ignore, you can manage it, but then it gives you something to focus on. And, myself also coming from IT land, IT people don't like to do things quickly without, the sense of thoroughly analyzing.
I'm an example of that, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I think, a lot of the people in the room were examples of that. And it was, maybe a question is everyone did it, meaning no one on the team said, well, I need another 30 minutes to study this list. And so
I did.
Well,
but we did it. Yeah,
but we did it.
And the results were there, as you said. That's very, very true. When you look at the results, and it was, I think you said it well, look at this top 5. Well, that's it. Just do this and you're good to go. Well, that was more or less true. Certainly. Yeah, we had some very usable results there.
Yeah. So
so probably you knew what you were doing. So.
Well, we pretend we know what we're doing, and mostly we also have fun. But no, there's a lot of for me to take the journey, and it really is everything to do with the participants, because we can create the space, but we can't guarantee the outcome, and we're going very shallow, and then like with the Miro brainstorm, very broad, and then bring it back, and there's a lot of writing, so people just having to write as individuals, and then as as pairs, and then as a group, and forcing decisions every day. We do not know what will come from that, but if what we do know is, if you set up the goal, if you have the right people with the right approach, and then you can guide through there and adapt along the way, that something will come. And in your case, your team absolutely delivered. It was marvelous. So I'm curious, Martin, for other organizations that are reflecting on sustainability, or maybe let me turn that question around. On Tuesday this week, I had another brainstorm with the coaches on creating our persona of who would be perfect for this. I'm curious, in your mind, who would be the perfect customer out in the world who would really benefit from a sustainability sprint? How would you describe that?
Oh, nice one. This isn't going to be a very short description. I think a person, a customer, a department, it could be anything, who wants to act and maybe has some vague idea of what goal he wants to reach, but doesn't have a good grasp or actually a clue of how to actually start or get there. So of course there needs to be a wish to achieve something.
Mm-hmm.
We had the sustainability blah with the date on put on there, something like that, and maybe not even as concrete as that for starters. But when you want to start your journey, it's a beautiful word, but you want to start a journey towards being more sustainable, but don't have a good idea where to start and what goals you want to set for yourself, I think go for it. And I think that describes a very broad audience. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of people are at that point that, hey, we need to do something, but what would make an impact?
Yeah, we also added has an intrinsic desire to be more sustainability, because what I really picked up from all the people that you selected, although they came from different backgrounds and different levels of interest, everyone had an interest in the topic.
It surprised me, actually. I was really expecting at least 2 or 3 of those to be like, hey, I don't care, dude, just go on with your life and do what you did. But that wasn't the case. That they all bought in and then really went for it, and it was really great to see that.
Yeah, it was, and it maybe wasn't the first thing they thought about, but as after they went through, they started connecting it to other needs and other interests in their life. And also with Van Oord as a group, I've listened to some podcasts with the CFO about sustainability, and it seems to be something that the company is taking very legitimately and authentically seriously, as opposed to other organizations that sustainability is part of the marketing department.
Yeah.
The CFO is not on podcast, stating very clearly how important that is. In fact, I'll, in the show notes, in addition to the pictures or a link to the Palm Islands you mentioned, I'll put the links to the CFO podcast series, because it was I listened to that when I was preparing, and I was I guess emboldened, or my confidence was increased, realizing, okay, if one of their executive team is thinking this way about this topic, then the ground is fertile. The space is there. Is that what you feel as well? And is that something that contributed to this, or how do you connect to the overall sustainability vision of Van Oord?
Yeah, well, I need to step a little bit back on how this all started. Like, what was it? Before all the COVID misery started out, Van Oord had a C-Talk. Van Oord has, that's an abbreviation for Sustainable Earth Actions. And our company hired in Gorinchem city, more or less nearby, a complete hall where maybe 150, 200 of my colleagues and myself were present to talk about all the sustainability actions and goals and movement within Van Oord. That was the second time they had that talk, and the last time, because, well, other stuff happened. But I was there as the only IT guy, and also our CFO was there, telling about how important he thinks this all is for our company. And I do agree, it's not a marketing thing out here. We are a family-run company that takes our responsibility in, and I come again with the company goal to create a sustainable world for future generations. We take that seriously, and on the one hand, driven by the market, our customers are more or less demanding, or at least more and more demanding things of that. But also the people who work within this company. Well, I started out, I think you asked me, why are you doing this? I got children, I want to leave something behind for them. And I know that sounds a bit softy, but that's really true. We need to leave something livable behind, and we weren't and still aren't maybe on the right track there. So we need to change things. And the whole company is feeling that movement more and more, and also to attract employees that are really passionate about the things we do. Well, you need to have a vision like that these days. You need to tell them we are not like we're no company that likes to leave a mess behind. No, we want to leave a better world behind. And of course we have ships that sail around, and that the all black smoke coming out of that. We were working on that with LNG and other solutions. But hey, we are planting thousands and thousands of windmills in several places to at least look at the whole energy goals. And yes, we are looking at the equipment we are using to greenify, if that's a word. That so there's a whole drive within our company, and as we found out during all those sessions in the Netherlands, we are also running on green energy as a company. All our buildings, I didn't know. We found out during our sessions. So there are a lot of actions ongoing in all parts of the company that will contribute to that common goal we have, and having the board carry out this vision. Yeah, that's very, yeah, only helps, of course. We need that. Else it's not going to happen otherwise.
You also have bees on your building.
We do. I actually went with our beekeeper over there to, and I don't know what the English word is, that what she called it, afleggen. It's like lay off a part of the bee population there to make sure they won't go and swarm out and try to find new homes and build new bee buildings. Yeah, we do. This was one of a part of our session for everybody listening. Get Cuba over there. You will get honey. It's great.
Yeah, Jessica from Cuba was playing, coach and beekeeper, because from their other company, and that was part of the story of how we all got connected on this and had a good time together. So, Martin, last question for me, and unless you've got something to fire back, but we've been having a good conversation. I feel that when you started this, you thought that it would be much harder than it turned out to be. Meaning, as you said during the conversation, you thought maybe even the people you invited, your colleagues, would be a bit more critical or putting up obstacles, or at least not actively supporting. And my feeling is, maybe validate that, that going through this and having these conversations in this structured way, and other conversations around it, because it's, this isn't the only thing you're doing, that the achievability became more reachable, or you saw a better path, or I felt some energy going on this. And my question is do you feel that IT's contribution to sustainability in an organization is really meaningful? And I'm breaking a rule of podcasting. I'm asking two questions. So do you really believe that IT can contribute? And what do you recommend to all your IT colleagues and peers out in the market who are listening to this maybe, and they're like, well, that could never happen here. No one cares. I don't believe I can contribute. So where are you now with this on the role of IT in an organization? And what's your recommendation for people who are also passionate about this?
Well, first of all, I learned again that assumption is the mother of all mishaps in the world. Let's put it that way. I lived under several assumptions going into this whole track. That there probably wouldn't be enough support, that maybe the contribution that the IT department would make would be that small that nobody would really care, that I wouldn't get the management support needed. Well, all kinds of things that, well, one of our coaches was there. He told us to why wouldn't this happen? Just give me a list of, well, all those things were in our heads. Don't let me speak only for myself, but we all had that. And during those sessions, we either found out that wasn't true. People do care. People are passionate. There are a lot more people that when you make things concrete and do the right explanation, tell the right story, are more than willing to help you. And that few of those that maybe aren't. I didn't meet them yet, but if they are there, hey, that movement is this big. Is there's so much support for it that they will come along. I have no doubt about that. So that was the first part. That whole insecurity about will we be able to reach that goal. Well, as I stated earlier, we even shifted the goal. The goal we set out to reach or started out in our head to only look at the IT department and do our thing there. That's until today and each day is broadening. As an IT department, we are able to help our company to the next level or 2 or 3 just by providing the right data, helping them out with the right system, because that's all needed. Measuring is knowing to get a starting point and to get somewhere. Sorry, your second question. What was?
What do you recommend? Yeah, no. See that this is why it was.
Yeah, exactly. I'm in the story and I forgot all that.
Yeah. This is why I'm never supposed to ask 2 questions because of this.
That's no problem.
The question is what would you recommend to your fellow IT managers out in the world who are maybe listening to this and thinking like, I don't know.
Well,
sounds
if you're passionate about it yourself, just go for it. Just do it. And even if you only reach half of your passion, it doesn't really matter. You're taking steps in the right direction, and that's all that counts. Yeah. Just go for it. Do it.
Just do it. And I'm inspired, and I'll put myself in between this. If people are listening from IT land and they are in an IT managerial role, and they're also wrestling with these topics of carbon neutrality and circularity in IT, and you have lessons and smart tips to share, we can always get a group of people on a Zoom call, somewhat whatever they call it, Chatham House rules, to little mastermind to share some thoughts. So if people are listening and they would like to have that conversation, then I will beg Martin to see if he'll join for something that I think he might.
I'll gladly do so. You know me.
And then we can facilitate that just as a way of creating an ecosystem of like-minded people. So if anyone is interested in that, get a hold of me. You're listening to the podcast. You know how to get a hold of me. Ebullient.com. That's quite easy. Martin de Roode, IT supply manager at Van Oord. Thank you so much for championing the sustainability sprint. I can speak for the coaches. It was an absolute delight to work with such professionals, and such passion, and the fact that you're continuing with the journey is really what it's all about. And if people want to learn more, I'll put this in the show notes as well, but you can go to vanoord.com/sustainability. And in there's all sorts of other information about what the company is doing in this area. So Martin, thank you so much. This has been yet again a delight, from the sprint and now, and I'm sure we'll stay in touch. Thank you, Martin.
Sure do. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe to the podcast on your favorite player and download the Simplicity Kit from ebullient.com.